Welcome to Bet USA. Bob Slovak here with the consummate pro Jason Alexander. We're ready to help you make a little bit of money. Our slogan, we don't want you to work harder. We want you to
bet smarter, Bob. Let's put a little money in our back pocket, a little walk-around money, as they say.
Oh, what a great football weekend. Thanksgiving weekend, it's always great. Wall-to-wall football. I had a good time. I ate too much. I know you did too.
Woo!
So let's go over your picks. You had some winners. You were all over the Lions covering that three.
Absolutely. We had quite a few NFL winners last week. I thought Detroit played a competitive game, covered the spread. They looked pretty good the entire ball game. They're early on Thanksgiving Day.
And then you had the Raiders against the Cowboys. And that, it was a 7-point spread, but it was a good pick just because didn't have C.D. Lamb, didn't have Amari Cooper. So that made a big difference in that one.
Absolutely. C.D.'s back this week. We'll talk a little about Cowboys and Saints. The boys, hey, now they're getting into a little bit of trouble. They're going to need to pick up the pace a little bit moving forward.
The Washington football team is starting to kind of breathe down their neck there.
Are.
All right, your other winners on Sunday, you had the Bucks over the Colts. You had the Giants over the Eagles. The Bengals just trashed the Steelers. You had the Bengals on that one. And
Passing of the torch. We talked about it. And Big Ben passed it right over to Joe Burrow. You could see the changing in the guard there in that division.
And you also had the Broncos over the Chargers. The Chargers are kind of stumbling a little bit right now.
They are. Denver's it's a tough place to play. Teddy Bridgewater managed the game beautifully, and that Denver Bronco defense, you got to look out for him now.
And you had a pretty good pick. You were 3-1 in the college picks last week.
We all talked about Western Kentucky. The old Hilltoppers dominated Marshall. The Texas Longhorns went out a winner.
I couldn't believe it.
On their schedule and in our wallets. Okay, we finally got a W out of Steve Sarkisian. And then that over Oklahoma State hit in the middle of the third quarter. That was an easy one as well in the Battle of Bedlam. What a football game. And then some news coming out of Oklahoma. Old Lincoln Riley, look out.
Whew. The most hated man in Soonerland right now, and will be for a long, long time.
That's right.
Two things. It was kind of double barrel. One, he just ups and leaves for USC, and now he's taking all of his recruits with him. I mean, that's where the fans are really, really upset.
Where's Caleb Williams going to go? I'm telling you, he's going to be number two hated man in Oklahoma if he goes to USC and transfers.
We will see. We'll see what happens on that. All right, let's go ahead and get into our picks now. We're going to start. Man, we're taping this on Wednesday. Big Thursday night game. Cowboys at the Saints. Cowboys getting points here, right? It's 4.5, maybe 4. They're going to get Amari Cooper back. They're going to get C.D. Lamb back. But are they going to be able to cover?
Well, and hey, you know who else is coming back? Alvin Kamara's going to be back. Mark Ingram. And look, I think they're going to kick the tires to see about Taysom Hill as the starting quarterback.
Yep.
Simeon just hadn't gotten it done at all for the Saints. I think this is going to be a competitive ball game. The Cowboys are going places the Saints aren't. So this is a much bigger game emotionally for Dallas and Dak Prescott. I look for the Cowboys to cover this game, but it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a 6 or 7 point win.
How does it affect the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy not on the sidelines? He's out with COVID. There are a number of coaches with the Cowboys out with COVID.
I think Kellen Moore is way more important, obviously, for that offense calling plays. If McCarthy called the plays, way different deal. So, when they lose Cliff Kingsbury, in Arizona, it affects them quite a lot more than I think McCarthy being gone is going to affect Dallas on Thursday night.
All right, one stat to give you. The Cowboys are 1-3 in their last 4, and in all of those games, they haven't run for 100 yards. I think that makes a huge difference.
Yep, and so they said Zeke's looking better this week. You can tell he's been a little bit injured, so look out for Tony Pollard. I like Tony Pollard to light it up, run for about 80 yards. I don't think they'll have a 100-yard rusher, but having Amari back, having CD back, that's going to be the game changer and put him over the top for the cover.
All right, they'll cover. All right, let's move along now. Cardinals at the Bears. Cardinals more than a touchdown favorite in this game. The Cardinals, here's your stat. They have won and covered all 6 of their road games this season.
They've been road warriors, Bob. No doubt about that. If they get Kyler Murray back, which I believe is expected, I don't think, and Justin Fields, we need to see if he's going to come back as well. But if it's Fields versus Murray, we got to take Arizona. I don't like playing favorites too often, but Arizona's roster is just too good, even at Soldier Field. This is going to be a 13-point win for the Cardinals. They get it really back on track with their starting quarterback in the saddle.
And the one stat that plays in the Bears' favor, but I don't think that it's going to make much of a difference. The Cardinals are 0-2 coming off a bye week under Cliff Kingsbury. I think he changed up a few things on how he does
I'd have to see who they played, and I'm betting they go 1-2 after this Sunday now.
I think they will too. I don't think he'll approach the bye week the same he did the last 2 years. All right, Colts at the Texans. Texans just laid an egg in the second half against the Jets. That was embarrassing.
The ball game was over, and Zach Wilson showed a couple flashes, but look, the Texans offense just couldn't get it done. They couldn't sustain much there in the second half. They should have had another win against the Jets, but I think In the division, I believe we play the Colts pretty tough. We played them tough at Indy with Davis Mills.
Right now, the spread's at 9.
It's at 9. I believe it's going to go closer to 10, possibly 10.5 by Sunday. We're riding Tyrod Taylor. I don't think they'll spring the upset, but they're going to stay within the number with a couple big plays. I love Tyrod at quarterback. He'll have a little bit better second half this week. Look out for the Texans.
Well, you know
plus
what? The one thing playing in the Texans' favor is that their defense plays pretty well. They got pressure on Zach Wilson. If they can get that same pressure on Carson Wentz, we saw what he did when he had pressure in his face last week. He threw a lot of interceptions.
Poor decisions. I would expect the Texans, like they did with Ryan Tannehill, I think they're going to pick off Carson twice. That'll be the difference in the cover. The Colts have a better roster, of course. They're one of the top teams in the league. They played great. But I think that 10-point line is just a little too much for Vegas. I'm going to ride the old Texans.
All right. Chargers at the Bengals. Two teams kind of going in different directions. Bengals 2 straight wins. Joe Mixon running all over the place right now. Chargers 1-5 against the spread in their last 6. Their defense is allowing way too many points. 31 points a game.
I'm gonna roll with the hot potato right here and smoking Joe Burrow. I think big win, kind of got them over the top in the division. That's the win that they needed. I think it was in a dominant fashion. Should give them a lot of confidence. I'm not 100% confident in this game because it looks a little too good to be true on paper at -3.
Yeah, -3.
But we're going to ride Cincinnati at home. It's because they're at home. I do think this is going to be a lot more competitive than a lot of people might think. I think it's going to be within a 7-point ball game. But look out for the Bengals. I think they win by 4 to 7 points.
All right, there you go. Vikings at the Lions. Lions still not with a win. They have the 1 tie. Vikings given 7 points in this game. The Vikings were riding high for their till last week.
And they were right there. That was one of our losses last week, and Captain Kirk got down there. I don't know if you saw, he lined up under the wrong guard on one of the shotgun plays. They had it 1st and goal, a wonderful chance to upset the Niners at San Francisco, and couldn't get it done. Didn't cover the 3. Very disappointing because they've done well for us this year. We're going to hop back on and give Captain Kirk a chance to apologize to all the Bet USA fans. I think this is a route job. I love Mattson. Dalvin Cook's out. I think that's why the line went down a little bit. But I believe he's almost as good as Dalvin Cook. I really do. They still have Justin Jefferson, and Captain Kirk's going to uncork a few downtown to Justin Jefferson. Vikings win by 20.
Really? Because I was going to just throw this out there to you. The Lions defense haven't given up more than 16 points in the last 3 games. They've been losing a lot of close games.
They have.
But this is not going to be one of them, you say.
Well, I think Minnesota's offensive firepower, they're not assessed as a great offensive team, but they are. In the last couple of games, playing Chicago, for Detroit, playing Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, Cleveland's offense is terrible. I think their defense is looking a little bit better than what they actually are, but I think Minnesota's going to light them up like a Christmas tree.
All right, calling for a Viking route there. Giants at the Dolphins. Dolphins given 3 points right now. Dolphins have won 4 straight.
They have. And last week we played Carolina. Cam, I'm not betting on him ever again. I tell you, it scared me. I thought McCaffrey would have a much bigger role. I didn't realize his ankle was probably a little bit hurt. We didn't see much of McCaffrey on Sunday, and Cam Newton just can't carry a team throwing the football. So, look, Miami got juiced up. I think this line's juiced on them blowing out Carolina last week. I'm riding Danny Dimes here, Bob. We got to take a dog. We got to get into some dogs here moving forward. We've taken too many favorites already. So Danny Dimes plus the 4.5. I think he's locked and loaded, looking to finish this year really strong to make sure he's got a starting job in New York next year. Miami's on a roll, but look for Dimes to stop it on a dime.
Well, you know what? In the Giants' defense, they'll have something to say about it. They bottled up Jalen Hurts, forced him into some bad decisions last week, and so we'll see what they do against Tua.
It's going to be a close ball game either way. We're catching 4.5. You can't turn down the numbers.
All right, going with that. All right, so Eagles at the Jets. Eagles favored by 6.5 on the road. Of course, they lost to the Giants last week. Okay, this is what's crazy about this. They lost to the Giants in East Rutherford. Now they're playing the Jets in East Rutherford. Do they get their act together against the Jets?
We're riding Jalen Hurts. I don't like playing another favorite. We got to ride Jalen Hurts a little bit this week. The Jets just really are an unbettable team. They had a great half against the Texans last week, but Zach Wilson, they won't be able to keep up with Jalen Hurts, and the Jets defense isn't near as good as the Giants. So I look for Hurts to get back on track, couple yard balls. I think we'll get into him running a little bit more again, like we saw for 3 weeks in a row. I like the Eagles to win this game by 10. It's not going to be an easy cover, but it will be a cover.
All right, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers at the Falcons, one of the biggest lines of the week. Right now it's at 11. May go higher than that. Bucks covered on the road for the first time last week. Do they do it again? It's a big number.
That was a big game for us last week. Great winner, Tom Brady, and they rode it out. They ran the ball a lot. Fournette had a big part of the offense. And their defense played great. Caused a few turnovers from Carson Wentz as well. Look, Matty Ice, they're not going to be able to keep up. It's a big spread. I would kind of stay away from this game. But if you got to bet it, you got to bet Tom Brady. I feel like they're going to win by 17-24. Atlanta's going to score a little bit. I think their offense got back on track against Jacksonville somewhat, but they're not going to be able to keep up with Brady and the Bucs.
All right, next game, Washington football team at the Raiders. The Raiders right now 2.5-point favorites. Washington has won 3 straight.
In Washington, one of our picks last week, Monday Night Football, Tyler Heineke is turning into one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. They've done wonderful for us this year, and now they're scoring in the red zone. So Riverboat Ron calling the shots. Some of his coaching decisions on Monday night, you would have to question there at the end of the game. But we're riding the football team against the Vegas Raiders. This line went down because of Las Vegas's game against Dallas. It affected this spread, I think, quite drastically. Washington, I believe, has got a better roster. And Tyler Heineke, look, they're playing for a lot here all of a sudden. Even in that wild card spot, they're right there.
Yep.
And they're within with the ear side of Dak Prescott and the boys. So Redskins went outright by 7-10. This is one of our favorite plays of the week.
Well, the one thing that doesn't bode well, and this is on the flip side of it, just to give everybody information, Derek Carr, when he throws for more than 300 yards, 10-0.
Yep.
And Washington has the 30th pass defense in the league. So they're going to need Heineke to do something.
Absolutely. And I expect kind of a high-scoring game. That's a great stat, Bob. I think both teams are going to score some points, but I think Washington makes a couple more plays and picks off Carr at the right time.
All right, there you go. Go with the Washington football team. All right, Jags at the Rams. Here's your other big line. I don't even know if we want to touch this. L.A. Rams favored by 13.5.
I'm not playing the Jaguars ever again. I bet on Jacksonville the last 2 weeks, thinking that they just might have a little momentum, and it just hasn't happened. If you're going to play the Rams. They want to make it quick. They want to make this quick and easy and have Stafford out of this game by mid-third quarter. Look for about a 28-0 first half, 28-3 out of the Rams. So if you're going to bet them, we're going to ride the Rams, Stafford, McVay. They're going to get it done pretty easy.
Going to cover that big spread. They've lost 3 straight, so you know they want to get out there and get
They're
something
ready to
positive.
push the pedal on somebody.
All right, so 49ers at the Seahawks. The 49ers road favorites, giving 3.5 right now. They're 3-0 straight up here in the last 3.
The Niners are coming on strong, and how can you bet Seattle? That's why we're going to bet them. I think this is the Oppo Taco play of the week. Look, Russell Wilson made a couple nice throws on Monday night against the football team. I think he started to come out of his shell a little bit. DK Metcalf was just absent, didn't show up for the game on Monday night. Expect him to show up at home against the Niners. I think San Francisco wins. Is going to be a tight cover, but I think Niners win by 3, and I think we get the goob, ride the Seahawks, Pete Carroll, and a possible upset of the Niners at home.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that Russell Wilson's 0-4 since he came back from his injury. I can't see him keep losing every game.
I agree.
So.
He's too big of a competitor to let this thing ride out too much longer. I expect Russell to have a great game on Sunday.
All right, Ravens at the Steelers. Two teams going in opposite directions right now. The Ravens giving 4 points, so you got the Steelers as home dogs. Lamar Jackson, I looked at this, I go, did he really throw 4 interceptions? And he did.
He did, and Cleveland still didn't cover.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That was a loser for me last week. They had every chance in the world to cover that game. Late field goal cost them. But moving into this week, I do like Lamar Jackson. We're going to bet a favorite here at Pittsburgh. If Pitt won last week, now this would be different, but Pitt's done.
Yeah.
And so I'd expect if Big Ben gets off to a rocky start, I think we might see Dwayne Haskins come in the ball game a little bit. But the Ravens want to make easy work of the Steelers. They don't want to let them hang around. I expect them to get off to a pretty big lead. Pitt's not going to have the firepower to come back and backdoor anyone on Sunday. So we're going to bet the Ravens minus the 4.5.
Okay, Broncos at the Chiefs. Another big line here. Right now it's at 10. The Chiefs giving 10 at home.
I think Kansas City has figured it out a little, judging by watching their game at Dallas coming off a bye week. I still like the Broncos, D, and I like that number. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is going to make too many mistakes. Kansas City's going to win this game. But, hey, they can win this game by almost 10 points. I expect this line to move up to double digits before tip. So we're going to ride Teddy Bridgewater and the Denver Broncos to keep this thing close. Possible backdoor, but I think this is going to be around a 7 to 10 point game. We're going to take the points.
The Broncos defense has played pretty well the last 4 games.
Absolutely.
So the defense has been stepping up. And the one thing you have to take into effect, the Chiefs coming off the bye week, and Andy Reid's pretty good at coming off the bye week.
He is, and I believe they'll win. I really do.
Okay.
But Kansas City, the teams have figured them out just a little bit, and the Broncos have the personnel to actually stay with some of the wide receivers, including Tyreek Hill. So expect the Broncos D to show up.
Monday night, man, this is going to be a good game. Patriots at the Bills for the division lead. Mac Jones against Allen. What do you like there? The Bills giving 2.5 at home right now.
Mac Jones has made me somewhat of a believer, but I don't think that the Patriots are going to be able to keep it going after Buffalo just absolutely laid an egg in front of their home fans, in front of the Bills Mafia against Indy last week. I expect them to come back with a vengeance. This is a big game. The Bills have a better roster. They've got more weapons. Josh Allen puts on a show. It's going to be a ball game. Bills win by 3-7. Make sure you catch that, baby. Under 3 points. I think it'll be closer to a pick 'em by kick with Mac Jones and how hot he's been. But we're going to ride the Buffalo Bills. Circle the wagons, baby.
All right. That is the NFL slate for this week. There's some good ones. I just love this time of the year as you get down closer to the playoffs. A lot of jockeying going around. See who's going to get in. The wild cards all bunched together. So it is going to be
games.
fun.
Big games.
Huge games. It is going to be fun. All right. So we move along to our college picks now. So I find our college picks. Okay. So this is a big college weekend. We got all these conference championship games. It was like Michigan. Everybody was thinking Ohio State was the team, and Michigan came tough.
We played Michigan and the over, and those were 2 easy winners for us on Saturday. Absolutely. Harbaugh, and good for Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like Phil Mickelson finally winning a major back in 05, you go so many years, that win was got to be so sweet for the Wolverines.
Yeah, definitely. They'll be playing Iowa for the Big Ten championship. You like the over. It's 43.5.
It's 43.5. Iowa, not a powerhouse offensively. We all know that. I do think Michigan's going to get up a little. That's why I like this over. I don't think it's going to be an easy cover, but I do think it's going to cover. I think Michigan gets up a little early. A little prevent in the second half will allow Iowa to score about 10 to 14 points when they need to. I think Michigan scores about 28 to 35, but I'm looking around a 35-14 final, which is going to hit that over 43.
All right, there you have it. All right, the SEC championship game, Georgia against Alabama. Before we get into the point spread here, all I'm hearing is if Alabama plays them tight and still loses, they still get in the playoff. I'm like, no.
I just don't think that's the case. I think after Bama narrowly beat Auburn, I think they're done. If they'd have blown out Auburn, maybe.
Yeah.
But after narrowly escaping Auburn, so they shouldn't have won that game, they're going to have to upset Georgia to get in the playoffs. Saban knows that. It's weird to see ALA with a plus beside that. They're very rarely. You don't catch Saban as dogs very often. But it's not going to happen for him this week. I like the over in this game, and I like Georgia. Look, the Georgia offense is going to run rampant on Alabama's D. I know a couple of these games have been a little bit tighter for both teams, but I think the offensive powerhouse for Georgia will overtake Alabama. Now, they'll score a couple late touchdowns, I think, to make the score a little bit closer than what it should be. But I like the Bulldogs. We've rode them all year, and we're not hopping off now.
I wonder, I need to check a prop bet just to see what's the over-under on touchdowns by Alabama. Because Georgia, they don't like to give up touchdowns.
They don't like to give up touchdowns. And look, Bryce Young's just too good. They won't contain him the whole game, but they'll contain him enough to get a pretty good lead, a healthy lead. And I think, like I said, I think Bryce will throw a couple TDs late to make the score look prettier. But I think Georgia wins by 17 to 21. I really do.
All right, go Bulldogs on that. Consummate Pro, he's all over Georgia this week. The AAC championship game. Great to see the Houston Cougars back in it, taking on Cincinnati. Well, right now, everybody's thinking Cincinnati's in a blowout because Houston's getting 10.5 here.
They do, and I like to see that, and I hope the public's all over Cincinnati because right here in H-Town we know better. All right, look, and we've talked about this the last couple of weeks on Huddle Up and Bet USA. The Houston Cougars roster, I think they have a very competitive roster with some of the best teams in the country. Cincinnati's a fringe team. I want to see them get in, but I'm telling you, look out for the Cougs to spring the upset. We're definitely taking the 10.5 points. Might go up. It's not going to go down. So ride the Cougs. Clayton Tune, as we love to say. Clayton Tune's going to put on a little bit of a show, and I think he's going to be very competitive with old Dylan Ryder for Cincinnati.
So, Cincinnati's playing to get into the college football playoff. Should Houston pull off the upset, they get a New Year's Day bowl.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a lot to play for.
It is a ton to play for, and I think this game is going to go down to the wire. It's going to be close, and if Cincinnati wins, it won't be by more than 10.
There you go. That's going to be a fun one to watch Saturday afternoon. All right, Oklahoma State and Baylor in the Big 12 championship game. The over-under's 46.5. Right when you look at that number, I'm like, man, that's kind of low.
It is a little bit low. It scares me a little bit. But Oklahoma State's defense is wonderful, but there are pockets during the game where they're going to let it loose a little bit. I think their offense is going to score on Baylor 1. I think Oklahoma State scores 28. So if you look at that, can Baylor score a couple of touchdowns? Absolutely. Will it be in trash time? Maybe. I think Oklahoma State's going to win this game by 14-17. But Baylor scores a late TD to get the cover. The number's too low not to bet with that amount of talent on the field. We're going to play the over.
All right, there you go. It goes with the over. Now, you make your bets mostly against the point spread, of course, but you can bet the money line. Explain that real quick.
Absolutely. So on the money line for our fans, if you take the Oklahoma State-Baylor game, Oklahoma State's minus 4.5 for the game.
Yeah.
Baylor's going to be probably around plus 160. If you can play Baylor to win outright, if you're feeling froggy and feeling loose and you want to play Baylor to win, now you're not getting any of those points, okay? So they have to win the game outright. So as over the course of the year, I always prefer, especially playing an underdog, I want to play the points just in case. And every now and again we'll play a money line wager, but I would implore everybody to take the points almost always. But money line's always an option.
There it is. You can win some money that way too. Yeah, good stuff there, and the over/under and all that stuff. Hey, I always love to look up betting trivia, betting history, really.
Absolutely.
To end this show with, and so we always make our bets. You make your bets against the point spread. So I'm like, I wonder what's the largest NFL line that got beat or got covered. So I looked them up, and so
Ever.
So the largest line that got covered was back 2013, Jaguars playing at Denver. The Broncos went on to make the Super Bowl that year. But Jags were getting 28 points. I mean, would you have been all over that?
Absolutely. Or I wouldn't have played it. One of the two. I'm not laying 28 in the NFL. No.
So here's what happened. The Broncos won the game, but they were only up by 2 at half, and then they ended up winning 35-19. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, they covered it big time.
Yep. That's awesome.
But
28 points.
So the biggest favorite to blow somebody out, okay, this takes me back. 1976, the Super Bowl defending champs Steelers, they were playing Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their very first year. They didn't win a game that first year. The Steelers were favored by 27 points. Guess what happened? They blew them out 42-0.
Woo! That was back with the old orange. That was the old school orange.
What do they call them? Dreamsicle colors.
The Dreamsicle. They need to bring those back for one throwback next year, I think. Especially if they go back-to-back in Super Bowls.
Oh, that'd be great to see Tom Brady in that.
Yeah, one of those.
Tom Brady. All right, that is going to do it for here. Bet USA, the consummate pro. He's got you lined up for the weekend. We don't want you working harder. We want you.
We got to bet smarter.
Bet smarter. You can get your info right here. For Jason Alexander, I'm Bob Slovak. We'll see you next week right here on Bet USA.